Hi, this is Mike Koenigs. I am here with Charlie Epstein. He is the best-selling author of multiple books, including Paychecks for Life, and has a brand new production in motion. It is called Yield of Dreams. Charlie, it is very nice to be here with you, sir.
This is just amazing. I'm just looking around, taking this in. You built this whole thing. It's the coolest thing.
It's a super fun studio,
yeah.
And for a guy who loves theater as much as you do and is in the entertainment business.
You've been like poking at me and emailing me and videoing me in your studio. And I've been watching you and Dan on Capability Amplifier, and you've just been like, when are we going to get you in the studio? And here we are.
Here we are.
Made it happen.
Finally.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's great to be here.
It is. So one of the things that we've been
kicking ass
talking
on
about
for the last couple of days.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've got an amazing team of comedians and Marisa Brassfield. We've been building this production, Yield of Dreams, Paychecks for Life. So let's start. And first of all, I am curious what your take is on what this is all about and why people need to see the show.
So I have spent 40 years in the financial services business. Yawn, right? People think financial advisors, building a very successful practice, also known nationally as the 401k coach. So I've trained over 10,000 financial advisors how to do what we do in the retirement space. I like to say I'm Betty Crocker selling my recipes to Duncan Hines. Mm-hmm. And we've had a great time. We've been very successful at it, but I'm also have been a,
how do we put that? Yeah, frustrated entertainer.
I won't say frustrated, right?
No.
But I've just always wanted to be an entertainer. And I did take a period of time out, we might get to all that, where I did perform live theater, stand-up, improv for almost 12 years. But in the back of my head, I've been ruminating on how do you make money funny? And how do you make it impactful? And how do I tell this story, this journey of my life, so it impacts millions and millions of people so they can really actualize their big dreams instead of holding back their dreams? And in addition, have these paychecks for life so they can do all the things they really dream about doing. That's what I call desirement planning. So there you have it in a nutshell.
Right on. And I think what I was most impressed by and getting to know you and meet you, and we're officially celebrating about a year since the time we actually met and started talking about this project.
Yeah.
And I can remember thinking to myself, okay, this guy is funny. He's got a lot of charisma. You had your books and you had been marketing and selling a traditional way. And when I started talking to you, I reached out to, first of all, a guy who had worked for me for years, who's a professional comedian. He's been hitting the stages. In fact, he's at the
in Vegas.
Jimmy Kimmel Theater in Las Vegas right now.
Kyle's
so, I mean, he's a real performer.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm putting together a team. I want to find some comedians with television experience, who've got stand-up experience, who could write a show. And he goes, like, what's it about? And I go, yeah, it's a financial advisor. And he's like, oh, geez. I go, no, this guy's different. He goes, really? I go, no, seriously, he's different. He goes, all right, I trust you. Put together this team. And
you remember the first thing I said to the guys when they were in the room, right? I said, so what were you thinking when Mike said, hey, how'd you like to work with this old Jewish financial advisor trying to make money funny? And they were all like, yeah, how's that going to work?
Yeah. But, it was like they met you and the whole thing came together.
Yeah, it was last October.
Fast. And in 2 days, wrote the entire show, really extracted it, I should say, got it out of your head, and pulled together first of all, your core, you call your myths of money, and then your life story, and assembled it in a way that is genuinely entertaining. And now, and I'd say from the time we started until you will actually be able to perform, it's about 6 months, roughly.
Well, we got together in your condo here in La Jolla, right?
Yep.
In October. 2 days. This is the coolest thing. I mean, once you finally said to me, it was like last July, I remember it, because you were in the studio. You sent me this really cool shot of you in the studio going, hey, Charlie, I've been thinking a lot about this idea. I think we can make this happen. Mm-hmm. And as soon as you said, you should just be like Fallon, and you should be like Kimball, and you should be like Ellen,
What's it? Yeah, I'm Ellen.
Ellen.
Yeah, DeGeneres?
Right. DeGeneres, yes. In other words, hire your own comedy team.
Right.
And as soon as you said that, that whole collaboration thing went off, because I was like, I did my own stuff. It's 401k coach. I wrote my own material.
It's
I
hard
directed
work.
it. I performed it, all of that. And then this idea of actually working with other comedians. I hadn't been on stage in 19 years. That was the linchpin. Mm-hmm. So then we get together, and this is the coolest thing, because people, there's stuff that people want to do, right? They've really been dreaming about it, and they just never pull the trigger. Yep. So I pulled the trigger, write the check, and I fly out here. I'm on the East Coast, boom, land. And that morning I'm walking the beach. I'm walking up and down the beach, and I'm thinking to myself, I have nothing. I have nothing written down. We're about to get in the room in about an hour. These guys are going to show up. I'm paying everybody. I'm paying you. I'm paying everybody. Mm-hmm. And I got naga. Mm-hmm. Now, I know I got it all here, but I got naga on paper. And from the time we got in the room and we started working, like you said, in those 2 days, we literally got the whole show framed, outlined out. And then, man, the sparks flew. I just wrote for the next 2 months, like 128 pages, just came pouring out of me. Mm-hmm. And here we are. We've just been working, right? Where are we? October, November, December, January. Here we are. 2 more days. Yeah. We've got the whole show basically written, blocked out, and now the guys are going to be editing, punching up the jokes, the bits, thing like that. And we're shooting for our first reading come April, May. Man, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it, for sure.
March, April, May. That's 6-7 months. Yeah. For a full 80-minute show.
Yep. And if we look at this from a bigger view, I think what I'm interested in, both as a audience member and as, I guess, a producer at this point, is, and you and I...
Have we talked about that?
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting...
Are you going to...
Yeah, hadn't thought of that. Yeah. So
I love
until
it.
literally just
as
this
the
moment.
Producer of the show.
Yeah. Well, and here's what I think we really agree on is comedy can change the world. And
so
right now,
we
live in a moment where not a lot of people have a sense of humor. It is, and comedians like Bill Burr, and I know you're not a big Chappelle fan, but it's like whatever. These guys are changing the conversation in a way that can, but this is
these guys. This is a reality check in a moment in time where the pendulum has swung so far that great comedian, but it's never been any different, right? Lenny Bruce started it all, right? He's the guy who stood up on stage when you couldn't swear and you couldn't talk about subjects. And he said, I got my First Amendment right here. And they kept throwing him in jail. And, at 40, he OD'd. But now you got the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And there's the Lenny character in that show.
So good. So timely.
If it wasn't for Lenny, you didn't have everybody. George Carlin, forget about it. Would have never existed, right? Yep. And now look, we're already all the way to Chappelle. So, and then you found these great guys, Kyle and Jesse and Ryan. I mean, they're all three brilliant in their own way, struggling comedians, working and trying to make it. It's so cool.
Yeah. And you're lucky enough to get them really at, I would say, yeah. Okay, very good.
They're in the other room.
Yeah.
No, I know what you're going to say. Don't say it. Do not say that.
They're at a great place in their careers.
Right now, they're perfect.
Yeah. I understand. I understand exactly what you're saying. You are I'm a
businessman.
You're an excellent capitalist.
I'm a businessman.
You are.
That's right.
So, and
no minimum wage here.
No, it's true. It's true. It's true.
Make sure you tip your comedians on the way out of the interview.
Right on. And they have been cranking, but getting back to what the show represents, first of all, it's super entertaining, super engaging. It is not only a one-man show.
Well, do we want to give them a little sneak peek?
Yeah. Okay. I think it's a great idea.
Ask me some questions.
Yeah. So I think the core things that I'm really excited about is the great story, your life story, combined with transformations that happen. There's fun characters that everyone's going to relate to. Everyone's got money issues and worried about running out, not having enough. This brings it all to light. And
well, we talk about it. What's the biggest myth people have about money? What's the biggest myth you have about money?
That money's going to solve all your problems.
If I just had enough, I'll be happy. Yeah. Right. And then we talk about
you can if only yourself to death.
That's right. And then we talk about, so wait a minute, why are all the greatest lottery winners in the world 3 to 5 years after they've won not 10 million, $100 million, depressed, suicidal, and wish they never won? This is the biggest myth, right? If I only had enough, that ain't it, right? So we go through these there's 15 myths of money. We don't cover them all in the show, but just the ones that just really pull at people today. And really, what's a myth? What's a myth?
It's something that absolutely is not true, right?
But it's something that people believe is actually, it's an idol people pray to. People pray to their myths, and their myths hold them back, both emotionally, psychologically, but what I found is financially, right? It holds them back.
Right.
And it has them making decisions about their money that limits the opportunity to actually enjoy their life today.
Right on.
Yeah. That's that yielding, right? So instead of yielding that crop, instead of harvesting your life now, harvesting your money now, they're holding back.
Well, which brings us to Paychecks for Life. So why don't you talk about Paychecks for Life and what that means and really what the outcome and the real story is all about?
Yeah. So we have a big practice in the 401k world. And as I said, I'm known as the 401k coach. And so I've done a lot of education over the last 40 years for participants in 401k plans. And what I found is 85% of people in America either don't know or don't want to know anything about money and how to invest money. Think about that. And yet they're contributing money to this 401k plan, which is really the country's largest casino, because nobody knows, give me red number 7. I want to bet on that. I want the best mutual fund. Oh, that's when they're earning 30, 40%. And yet people don't know what they're doing. So I wanted to write a simple book. And the whole premise is Paychecks for Life, how to turn your 401k into a paycheck manufacturing company. So if you think about it, you work your whole life and then one day the paychecks stop. Where are your paychecks going to come from? So the book is my 9 simple recipes, my simple principles. Follow these 9 principles and you'll have a paycheck for life. And I don't care if you're 20 or you're 60, the principles apply. And the best response I've gotten from older people is, God, this is so simple to read. I wish I'd done it when I was 20. Charlie, can I have a book for my children so they can get started now? So we cover those powerful principles that help people out.
Yeah. And I remember looking at the book the first time, I was like, it's a really good book. This isn't just some cheesy little thing. There's a lot of thought, a lot of care that went into this. And as we
actually have employers, so we run about 100, 120 retirement plans around the country. Employers buy the book and give it to their employees because they want their employees to understand they really do care about them and want them to have a paycheck for life. Mm-hmm. That's how powerful it is. Yeah.
It's a great idea, and who doesn't want it? Let's face it, passive income is our outcome and goal. And in working with you, that's the one thing I've learned. You've got all these people you've worked with who have achieved their dreams and have been able to walk away comfortably at a reasonably early age on top of it because they took your advice. But another thing that I think is interesting and important is inside the show, you're teaching these fun lessons. And why don't you give away one of the big cool ideas that we were talking about this morning? You want to give one away?
Yeah, which one?
All right. Well,
pull the curtain back a little bit.
Yeah, so it revolves around where you can get free money. And there's 2 big concepts. I'll let you pick which one. So one of them is investment related. The other one is how you treat your home. So which one of those do you want to pick?
You're talking about the VIG?
Oh, that's a great one.
You're talking about the VIG?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, well, so we'll kind of back up. So the 2 biggest myths I think people have about their money is I'll be in a lower tax bracket when I retire and my house will be paid off. So that was my dad. My dad worked his whole life. He was a senior executive at a company called Casual Corner Stores. And when he was 68 in 1992, he was going to retire. He made a 6-figure income while he was working and had enough money invested. He was going to make a 6-figure income afterwards. And his accountant, who was his father, my grandfather, said, well, when you retire, you'll be in a lower tax bracket. Then Bill Clinton came into the White House, raised the marginal tax rate. Boop. Suddenly my father retires into a higher tax bracket. So there goes myth number one. Then he moves to Florida to build the house of his dreams on the golf course of his dreams. And he's going to pay cash. So we'll say $500,000. And his financial advisor says, hey, Bob, I want you to go to the bank and take out a mortgage. And my dad says, take out a mortgage? No, I'm paying cash. And the guy says, no, just go to the bank and I want you to take out a mortgage. And my father says, for how long? And the guy says, 30 years. And my dad says, what are you, crazy?
Yeah, how old was your dad at this point?
He was 68. Yeah. I'll be dead before it's paid off. And his financial advisor said, what do you care? Guess who his financial advisor was? He's like, ta-da. Ta-da. You know, he's like, well, what's mom going to do? I said, well, she doesn't play mahjong and she doesn't play golf. So when you do die, I'm going to move her back home. And I said, Pop, go to the bank. So he goes, he comes back, he finds out he can get a 30-year mortgage at 5%. Now, simple math. The first 15 years of a mortgage, it's all interest. You can write it off. He's in a 40% tax bracket. So that means his net cost to borrow money, it's not 5, it's 3%, because he can write off 2% of that. So I said, Dad, put $100,000 down. I'm going to take the other $400,000. I'm going to invest it. And if I can't make you and Mom more than 3% net on your money, fire me as your financial advisor. And for the next 13 years, we averaged 7 to 8%. Right. Now, flash forward. Unfortunately, he passed away 13 years ago. And I called my mom up. We went, of course, I was at the funeral. And then I said, Mom, you're coming home. She says, I'm already packed. So at that time, the real estate market in Florida imploded. So the house that he paid $500,000 was worth $400,000. If he had paid cash, she would have lost $100,000. But here's the moral of the story. My mom moves back north. We build her a house in an over 55 community. And she comes to me and she says, do I get to take out a mortgage? She's 79 years old. I said, atta girl, Mom. She gets a 30-year mortgage at 79. Now, what's the moral of the story? It's all about the VIG. The spread.
And what's the VIG?
The VIG. What's the VIG? What's the spread? It's really all about OPM, other people's money. If you can use other people's money to make more money on your money, so by borrowing from the bank, writing it off, the spread is the difference between what you have to pay the bank, 3%, and what you can make on your money, 7%. The spread is 4%. If you can compound 4% every year,
yeah,
you got paychecks for life.
And you got free money.
But psychologically, most people are like, no, my house has to be paid off when I retire. Why? Because I don't want to have a payment. Well, tell me more why you don't want to have a payment. Because then it's another bill. Well, there's good bills and bad bills. What if you had a bill that was a good bill, that you had more money to pay for that bill and you had money left over? Right. My mom is 92 years old. She still has a mortgage. And her neighbors think, oh my God, who's your financial advisor? My mom's like, my son, you want to meet him? They go, no, he's crazy. Well, yeah. All she cares about is, does she have enough money to pay for all the things she desires to do? Yep. So we call that desirement planning. Right. So that's one of the principles we talk about in the book, is the VIG and the spread. I've been the founder of 2 community banks in Massachusetts. You got to act like a bank. A bank goes to the Federal Reserve and borrows money at one cost, 2% today, turns around and loans it to you at 6, 7, 8%, pays its bills, and makes it on the spread. People got to be in the spread business. That's what we're teaching you.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is, I've learned, is just one of the principles. But what's also happened is, so now the comedians, they're listening to you and they don't have a math or a financial background at all. And they're like, oh my God, this is really good stuff. And as we've learned too, the great thing about this story and the program is it's fun, it's entertaining, it's educational, but it's also going to be a book. It's also got the potential to be a Netflix special, at least an edutainment special.
Yep.
And it's got legs, lots of legs.
Yeah, you talked about a new podcast, Yield of Dreams.
Right.
Talking to people. So the other side of the show isn't just about the money side. It's about the clients that I've dealt with, that are holding back in their life and waiting for someday, one day. I mean, how many of your listeners are all about, as soon as I have enough yield on my money, one day, someday, then I'm going to go do what I really want to do. And the people that I've met in my life, my financial clients, today, I just had one call up. I've been trying to, it's a husband and wife, very successful in business. They have more money than they're ever going to spend. And the older he's gotten, the tighter he's gotten around his money, right?
That's because as men, we get scared and we get stuck in our ways. And it gets
my
harder and
God.
harder to
And
move.
5 years ago, we sat down and she was all excited, found a house in Vermont. And they were going to buy this lake house, right? And we were crying and everything was going. And he put the brakes on. Last December, last year, she lost her brother and father to Alzheimer's, dead. Sister and father dead. December, mother died. This morning, while we're working on the project, he called me up and he said, Mo's brother just died yesterday of an aneurysm, 54 years old. I said, was he sick? No.
Right.
She is broken up. And he's calling me up in tears to say, you got to help me. We got to buy her that house. And I'm thinking, no, we got to help you. And he was just sobbing on the phone. Like that's the thing, that's the other thing we talk about, the stories of my clients who had brain aneurysms. And
it takes like a near-death situation.
Parkinson's disease and all this stuff for them to make. And so I tell people today, as a financial advisor, my job isn't to get you to invest your money. My job is to get you to spend your money today because this is the healthiest you're ever going to be.
Yeah.
You have to think like that.
Yeah.
Right? Right now, what are you going to do to enjoy life along the way? My competition, I don't have any because they're all about, you need to put more money aside and you need to invest more and you need to, and they're like, people are like strangling. No. You need to sit back and figure out how you can enjoy life along the way. Because this is it, baby.
Yep.
This is it, baby.
Yeah. I think the most powerful thing that I've learned as I've gone through the process
by the way,
with
what we should
Go
do?
ahead.
Make a note. We need to have a metronome. Yep.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the show. There's a point when I'm telling this story and there's got to be a metronome where it's just ticking. Like it's the clock of life ticking.
Right.
I don't know, something. It's just an idea that just hit me. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're writing the show right now. We're coming up with new ideas. I mean, we are. We're in the middle. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
I am living my dream. I'm not yielding. I've been threatening my wife for years that I'm going to go back to the stage. Bam. Here we are.
Yeah. So let's talk about the dog. The dog makes an entrance in the biscuit. So I think that's a great metaphor to kind of bring this thing home.
Kind of a hard one, isn't it?
And you want to do it?
No, it's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Try it out.
You want to try Poopsie?
Yeah, try Poopsie.
Poopsie?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So how do we come up with this bit? So this is the part that's really cool when you've got collaboration, when you've got great minds, Kyle and Jesse and Ryan are so bright and so brilliant, but then it creates this environment where my sparks are flying and I'm very facile like you, right? And spontaneity is so great. So we were talking about how people hold back and they're like, someday, one day when I'm 60 or 65, then I'm going to take that big trip and then I'm going to buy that.
This much then and that number never comes.
It's all about as soon as I have the yield, as soon as I have enough money, that's what I'm going to do. And I looked at you all one day and I said, that's like you got a dog, Poopsie, my dog Poopsie, right? And the dog, you go, here Poopsie, right? And then you get a dog biscuit, and you go, come here. And the dog comes running and I go, wait a minute, stay. And then I walk across the stage and I go, and in 35 years, you can have a biscuit too. And then I turn to the audience and I look at them and I go, stay. And behind us, we're going to have a screen with all these pictures of everything people dream about, sailing and fishing and hunting and reading and climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, whatever those images are that people have in their head. And it's like, no, not yet. Stay. You can't have it. Stay. You can have a dog biscuit. What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
Right.
It's crazy.
It's like naming your dog Stay. Yeah, that's that might be the name of it. Who knows?
Exactly.
It's still,
and people. There's another myth. Actually, there's another myth, which is, I don't deserve it. Mm-hmm. That's myth 16. It's just hit me. Mm-hmm. I mean, just some people have this myth, which is, I haven't earned it. I don't deserve it. I can call it whatever you want, Jewish guilt, Catholic guilt, whatever. I'm not good enough. My wife, man, tough. And she was Catholic and converted to Judaism, so it's like even worse.
Got the double dip.
She's got the double it. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. Right. And there I am driving off in a Bentley. Right. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. You know, you can still drive the Suzuki, honey. It's okay.
Yeah, there you go. Very good. So I think the more I think about this, we're going to have to do a part 2 as we get through the next phase. But how do people learn more about you and get a copy of Paychecks for Life in the meantime, and then learn more about the show that we're producing so we can give them a notice when we're doing the first production, which we're actually going to be doing a reading in San Diego first. And then from there, it's going to make a city tour. But where should we send them?
Yeah, so you go to EpsteinFinancial.com, EPSTEIN, financial.com.
I'll put it on a lower third. So.
Yep, and you can go right there, right on the homepage. You can download a free copy of my book, Paychecks for Life. Just ask you to pay for the postage. There's also my Myths of Money videos are on there. You can also go to, and this is probably where we'll post stuff on Yield of Dreams, charlieepstein.com, which is my media site.
Great. We'll put both links in the articles.
Right. All my podcasts, all my Myths of Money videos are there. There's actually a Myths of Money workbook you can download. So if you want to start working on your Myths of Money, and soon we're going to have Desirement playing cards. It's 52 playing cards, and you break them up into 3 sets. There's 15 cards that are the Myths of Money. There's what your goals and objectives are now and what you desire most in life. Pick 3 out of that deck. Start to focus on those. Every 90 days, you start making results.
Yeah.
And we'll start putting out information about Yield of Dreams because we're just in the process of doing that.
Right on.
Which is really cool.
Production's been freaking awesome.
Yield of Dreams
I've
site.
even seen the prototype of the cards and really brilliant ideas. It's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right.
Love
so
being
anything
here.
else, sir?
No, are you kidding? We made it.
We did.
Unbelievable.
Well
and don't hold back, babies.
No doubt about it. Well, thank you for watching.
Do not yield. And by the way, the definition of yield, it means to harvest a big crop. So you want to start harvesting, the joy in your life and the gratitude and, start harvesting pleasure in your life along the way. Otherwise, the crop will die and you'll never enjoy it.
True that.
Good stuff.
Well, my friend.
Peace out.
Well done. This is a great production. And definitely check out 2 websites, Epstein Financial and charlieepstein.com. There you can get the books, all the goodies, and keep up with production. Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks. Peace.